Hello, everyone, and welcome to Zebra Reads. We are on Season Z, Episode 7, and we are going to be talking about this book, which I think the picture of it might be right over there, which is My Documents by Alejandro Zambra. Let me show you him. There we go. This is Alejandro Zambra, picture of him. And so this is the book that we're going to be discussing today. My Documents is a fiction short story compendium of short stories. It was translated by Megan McDowell. So Zambra is a Chilean author. He was born in 1975, so he's fairly young, contemporary. He grew up in the 70s and 80s when Chile was ruled over by a dictator. The experience influenced his writing quite a bit, and you can tell that. So I typically do not look up the authors of these books until after I've read the book and written the actual review for it, the information about the book. And I do that because I don't want to be influenced by who the author is when I read the book. I want to just try to read it. But that also means that when I do look up the authors for these reviews, I often look at the books in a slightly different light. So now knowing how Zambra spent his younger years in that environment, I've actually gained a bit more appreciation for this book. Zambra himself is really very educated. He has an undergraduate degree in Hispanic literature. He has a master's degree in Hispanic studies and a PhD in literature. He's written a wide variety of things. He started out writing poetry. He has published a couple of compilations of poetry. He's written several novels, two of which have been made into movies. And then he's got a couple of these short story compendiums, along with several published essays and criticisms and that sort of thing. He claims that he became a writer only because he was much worse at everything else. And digging in, there is some sort of suggestions out there that he really is more gimmick than substance. So a lot of people will look at his novel called Bonsai, which was an entire book which he refers to as a novel, but it was written in only 10,000 words, so it's extremely short. And then he also has an entire book that was written in the form of multiple choice questions, similar to the university entrance exams in Chile. And that book is aptly called Multiple Choice. However, gimmicky or not, he's making large impacts through his writing, and he's won several awards. He's become quite famous, over the last few years. So the book itself is 4 chapters of short stories. They all revolve around Chile, and most with reflections of Chilean writers. And the title is appropriate. It's a compilation of started notes that read sort of like diary pages, and basically they're sort of like the odds and ends stories that a writer might have put into their My Documents folder, right? They started writing something and they stuck it into their My Documents folder, and then it didn't necessarily get completed. The subject deals in life and time since personal computers have become an integral part of our lives, and so it's all very modern. And then there's really special experiences of Chilean sociocultural fluctuations as the backdrop of a lot of them. So my take on this book, I can't say that I did not struggle through this read. I can't say I disliked it. Now knowing Zambra's background, it makes a lot more sense to me, but the stories didn't flow together at all. And I was looking for a single coherent story. I thought that's what I was getting. And also wanted his story, right? But he did a very nice job of writing from other people's perspectives. And so, none of it seemed like his. It did seem there were bits of truth through all of them. There was, talk about drugs, poverty, lies, which really reveal the truth. So it was like by telling the lies, you really recognize what the truth is. And I found interesting that he mentioned growing up in this environment of this dictatorship where all of these lies were constantly handed to you, and you were supposed to just accept these as truth. And so the idea that he put lies into his writing was interesting. So I really wanted to find this sort of thread of truth that was woven through all of the stories, but I just couldn't find it. So I wasn't satisfied with it. I felt the stories were too quick, started too quick, ended too quick, and none of them felt like they were fully told or fully expressed, which may have been his whole goal. So who might really like it? If you like short stories and really are engaged by the human experience, the words that he uses are lovely. The stories are really dynamic. The pictures he paints are hard. They're beautiful. And I was really surprised how real the experience of someone so far away from my own experiences, how real those experiences could feel. I didn't feel like there was history lessons in here, like the Grapes of Wrath and The Great Gatsby are set in these very specific time periods, but they tell stories. They're not really lessons about history, or you don't feel that lesson, whether they teach you something or not. And I had the same sense of this. So it wasn't like a lecture or he was trying to, get something like that across. You just understood the experience based on the stories he told. I don't usually read short stories. Again, the first Zebra Reads book I read was a short story, and that's not something I would normally pick up. But I can see from this book why people would enjoy them or get into them and invested in them. There wasn't room to build a plot or the character, but it was just sort of this very fast, start to finish, real in your face story. Who might avoid it? So content warnings abound in this book. There's rape, there's incest, there's child abuse, there's drug use, there's experimentation with sex, there's strong language, and as I said before, lots of lying. If the lowest lows of the human condition depress you, if seeing vulnerability exploited hurts, I'd stay away here, tread lightly on it. It's not lighthearted. The humor, when there is humor, is ironic. It's not funny. Then there's also the idea that many times through these stories there's a plot twist that just simply isn't followed because the story's too short to follow it. There are some characters, so you never know what happens to them, even though you want to know. And I felt a lot of emotion reading these stories. I was angry, I was annoyed, I was frustrated, I was confused. And so if that investment in a story isn't what you're looking for right now, I would avoid it. So bottom line for this book is I would read it to gain a different sense of culture than maybe what you're used to, but don't expect this to be like a linear story. So that is My Documents by Alejandro Zambra, and this is our second to the last Z episode. So our last one will be Mother Mother, and I will hopefully be here next week with that. I missed a week this week because my daughter got her tonsils out and then she got really sick. So it was kind of a rough week last week. So I'm hoping to catch up again and get us back on track. So please enjoy, and I will see you all next week.